So
upgrading Prisma.
It's
going to be easy.
So we just want to look at the library, just see that they've recently published something. I noticed that says improving cold start, so that's what we're seeing with the really slow boot time. So want to fix that, have a look at what they've actually changed, and maybe do a little bit of a dive into rather than just bumping the package and then just hoping for the best. Also, I want to see, maybe just get some metrics before and after, so we can actually see if there's any improvement. Gonna change the design.
Yeah, I'll go through the design after I flip the switch.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, nice.
Sweet. All good. Hey team, so today we are going to work on my 4x4. So this is basically just a website we've built where you can showcase your four-wheel drive, all its parts, pictures, and all those kind of things. So what we're looking at today is pretty much SEO and performance things. So we want to look at upgrading Prisma, because we noticed that there was an update to the library that improves cold starts. So we're seeing like 4 to 5 second cold starts, which isn't very good. We want to have a look at some SEO things like tagging images with, like the part name, what the build is, just so that Google can find that when people are looking in for images. We want to look at possibly adding a sitemap, so it's easier for Google to crawl. We want to flip the front page so that we organize builds by the most recently updated rather than the most recently created. And then we want to discuss adding events and trips so that people can plan trips, and then from there add images and tag all the builds that were involved. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first step that we're going to do is we're going to update our Prisma library. So let's find Prisma JS. Jump into the GitHub repo. So what I was talking about was this release over here. So I saw, if we do a find, look for cold start or start. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about over here. So the Prisma client startup performance. In this release, we've improved the startup performance of the Prisma client. So this is in version 4.12.0. So inside of our app, we're currently running Prisma 4.8.1, and the client, 4.8.1 over here. So what we need to do, first things first, is just jump in and make sure that we've got the latest branch. So I'm going to just jump into my 4x4. Don't need those changes, and just fetch origin for main. Cool. We're going to create a new branch here. Maybe what we'll do is we'll jump into GitHub, my 4x4, and then we have a project there, so we'll just set up a new ticket. Sorry, we'll just create a new issue. So we're going to say update Prisma library. Cool, so that's number 55. So basically we're just going to do here, we're going to say task/55, create a new branch. All right, very simply. So if we just hover over, we can see here that the latest is 4.1.3.0, so we might as well just jump up into that. So 4.1.3.0. And then I'm just going to update the other one. And that should be us. And then all we need to do inside the repo, just install that. While that's happening, what I want to do is I also just want to jump into Vercel. I want to have a look at the app, and let's see if we can look at analytics, or I guess it's called speed insights now. So our first contentful paint's 2.14 seconds, which isn't very good. Let's see. So the home page is getting a 95, which is pretty good. But then when we're looking for project slug, or when we're editing a project, or also projects new, so we should look at these pages because there's something going on there that's not the best. Let's see, what else can we see in here? Logs. Does it show us how long each thing's taking? I'm just trying to have a look. Get recent project. Does it tell us how long that took? So that took 25 milliseconds, which is pretty good. But if we look at, I mean, my 4x4.info, see, that's an instant load right now because it's warm. But if we go to something like this, that's okay right now. Yeah, so because Davo's working on it right now, everything's just flying. So this is kind of the performance that we expect. Right? So that's what we want. We want really fast page loads. So it's definitely capable of it. We just it has to be warm and running. So what we want to do really is improve the cold start. So let's see if we can, I wonder if it's even possible to get it to do a cold start for her.
Just let me know if you want me to jump off.
No, it's all good, bro. No, so it's warm. So we're getting good performance now. What we're going to do anyways, because we definitely know it's a problem. We've seen this happen many times. So we're gonna bump the library. So unfortunately, I don't have a way of testing that we are actually going to get a performance improved from pure benchmarks, but we can. This is going to be one of those user feel subjective tests. So I just want to, NVM's just complaining because we're using the wrong node version. We're running 14, so I just want to say NVM list. So we're running version 14 here. We need to use version 16, so I'm just going to say NVM use 16. Cool. Now if we run yarn, it should get us through there. This actually might be using. We're not using yarn here. We're actually just using npm. That's the word, npm. Don't use it. So I always use yarn, but on this project we're using npm. So just run npm install and just update the Prisma client. What do we have here? So this is just an example of showing us how to use Prisma client. We're getting this two severity vulnerabilities. Nailed it. Killed it. Let's just see what those are. Let's just fix them while we're here. We don't want any vulnerabilities in our app. Through packages. Let's see. Cool. Found 0. So it's fixed it. Thank you, NPM. So what we want to see, let's just actually have a look at what's happened here. So inside of a package lock, we've updated from 4.81 to 4.130. But yeah, the main one that we're after is here. So that's that part done. So for now, we'll just push that. So we'll say upgraded Prisma library. Commit that and push that up. Great. And now inside of GitHub, we'll jump into my 4x4. And we can create a pull request. So to reference an issue, we just use this 55. Just referencing that issue, just comment that. Now they're linked together. Okay, cool. So all we've done, again, you can do a quick check, is the package and the packaged lock. All right, so what I'll do is I'll get someone to review that code for me. Maybe the guy sitting next door to me. Who's actually, there you go, you can hear me. There we go. Merge pull request. Boom, all right. Let us go into Vercel. So production was last updated 65 days ago. And an active branch was just done. Where was it? Updated. That was main branch. So let's see our deployments. So here's our preview branch that's busy building right now. So I think we have that at staging. So that's still building. So over here you can see when it's building, it's actually building all the endpoints here as lambdas. So that little thing there. And all of these things are going to be deployed as serverless functions. So basically every endpoint or every page, Next is splitting that out into a serverless function that could be loaded on an endpoint. So usually each one of these things has like a startup, cold start. What else do we have? So it's migrating the DB. We're using Supabase to host. And we're seeding the database. So we just seed with common attributes that you would use. So that's all happening. You can see that happening. And then we've done uploading the build, deployment completed, build cache, running checks, assigning domains. Cool. So if we jump into my 4x4 staging, we're right there. There's nothing up there, which is cool. So that's great. So that's all deployed now. So we're happy, we're ready to go. So now what we can do is just fetch our main branch and we can move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is we're going to work on updating the front page builds to sort by most recently updated. So at the moment inside of the page, you can see we've got recently updated, but this is actually, I think, filtering recently created. So as builds are created, they show up here, but what we want to do is actually reward people for keeping their builds up to date. So when someone updates a build, we want that to come to the top. But from there, so yeah, so if this build was updated, we want to see this build appear here. Relatively simple change. So we'll dive in. So the first thing here is, so we're going to use new branch. We're going to call this task 57. Okay, so we're going to jump in there. So the first thing is we're going to find that page. So we're going to look, for this app, we actually used the T3 app stack. So what we've come with Prisma, TRPC, TypeScript, and that's just T3 app. Create T3 app, this one. So pretty good, pretty useful. Sets up all the things with Next without you having to go and install them, all the config. It's all set up. So yeah, it comes with Next, TypeScript, TRPC, Prisma, Tailwind, which we're not using, we're using Chakra, and Next.auth if you want to use that as well. So you can chuck in, I think we are using Next.auth. Yeah, so we're using Next.auth here, provider auth0, and then we just plug in that in with our credentials. And then the great thing about Next.auth is you can use auth0 or Facebook or Instagram as well. So that's all included out of the box. So the first piece of the puzzle is we're going to find the page. So we have pages, and it is actually the index page. So you can see all that we're doing here is we've got the mobile layout as our default layout. We've got a hero, which is basically our landing. So it's stored in components, landing hero. And that's basically just this top part over here. So I'm going to just click over here. We've got all this. Add your build. That's our hero. And then we've got our recently updated. So inside of the page, we can find recent projects. So we can jump into that, holding Command, click. So recent projects is just, so you can see the call here. We're getting TRPC from utils TRPC, and it's just TRPC projects endpoint, and then the method get recent projects, and it's a use query. So TRPC has a wrapper around React query, but then it references that specific endpoint. And then it does a little bit of magic around it with, managing keys, query keys, etc. So what we need to do is we need to find this, and see what's going on inside of that query. So we'll jump inside of server. I'm just going to bump that up one more. So we jump inside of server. You got a TRPC folder inside of the router. We're then going to look for projects. So we've organized it like this. All our endpoints, projects, and then inside of here. So if we look at, just jump into the recent projects, we'll open that up. We're looking for get recent projects. So we're just going to find that method. So get recent projects here. So it's a public procedure, so you don't need to be authenticated to view it. It accepts an input, which we're using Zod to validate, which is a limit, so that's optional. And then what you can see is we use this input. So here's the query, we're getting the context and the input. And the context object has the Prisma client, and then we're calling Prisma project find many. And we're doing a few includes here, quite a few includes. And then what we're doing is we're taking the input limit, undefined, and you can see here, that's our problem right there. So what we're doing is we're ordering by created at. But what we need to do is actually order by, let's see if it knows, updated at, descending. And that's literally the change that we need to make. So what I'll do is I'm just going to leave that like that, and then I'm going to run this project. So it is npm run dev, I believe. Then we're going to open up this route. And you can see this is what we got in dev. So the Prado is coming up first. Now if we just flip this, it's still probably going to stay the same because we created and updated them at the same time. But now if I just need to log in. Okay, so what we want to do is log in. Once we've logged in, we are now going to see, so we're going to edit this one. Edit the build details. Interesting, there's a bug there. It lost all the text. So what we want to do is here. So let's just say, and save that. Now let's just see what's happening inside of our DB. So I'm just trying to find the actual insert. So these are inserting. Update, here we go. So that's what we're looking for. But what we can see here, it's just setting the created by owner description, manufacturer model, slug and title. But what we actually needed to do is actually update the updated at column. So we've updated this, but nothing's happening because the updated column hasn't changed. So what I can do also is I'm going to pull up Valentina just so that we can visually see our database. So we can see that here. So if we go across, we can see these here. We're expecting this column to actually change. The easiest thing to do is we look for the update project by ID. So these are the inputs that we accept. So here, so we're deleting, so what we do is we delete all the existing attributes and then we assign them again because we have to map them in a certain way, and it's easier to just delete them and then add them back again rather than trying to find and then update each individual. So the data that we want to update here is, so we got all these inputs here, but we also want to do the updated at, and so Copilot's just saying we want to set it to a new date, and that's exactly what we want to do. So I'm going to save that change. So now I'm just going to refresh here. See, this looks like this. We can actually sort these. So the newest one's on top. And that is currently the Prado. And that's exactly what we're seeing in here. So the Prado, then the Hilux, then the Defender. So that's cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to update the Raptor. And then we're going to just go edit. All right. So in here, edit this description, remove that. And let's see, did we get a update? There we go. So we've now updated the column to today's date, and you can see the raptors here. So now what we expect is when we jump back in here, F-150 Raptor. So what we've done is we've actually finished off that ticket. So now the front page is being, when the build's updated, it will be moved back to the top of the list. There are other pieces of the puzzle that we might have to look at. So at the moment, this only works with updating attributes. So it's all the only things that are going to work is if you do an attribute, change the model description, slug, title, things like that. But what we also have, we have a whole bunch of other things. We have things like project parts. So if you add a new project part, so over here, we also want to bump the thing up. So let's try that again. Mean mother 4x4 accessories. Let's just open up the const terminal and see what's going on here. Why are we getting that? And I'll also open up the inspect window and see what we're getting. Why are we not saving? So if we hit save, it's created it. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So now what we would want to happen, because I've updated my build, is for this to actually bump up. But you can see that it hasn't done anything. It's still sitting down the bottom. So what we want to do, so when we add a part, we actually want to do the project. So we're connecting the project. So in Rails, we have the just touch, which makes our life super easy. Let's just see. So it's Prisma touch related record. This is what someone's looking for. I mean, we could do a transaction. The transaction, I think we're using this somewhere. Here we go. So with the transaction, you can run 2 queries. So this is a delete and an update. So we're going to run, what we're going to do is we're going to update and then we're going to touch, which will be the simplest. So I'm just going to write that over here. So the syntax, so return context Prisma transaction. And what we're going to do is inside of that, we're going to do so just straight context call. So we're going to do this one. And then after that one, we're going to context of Prisma. Ah, there we go. Project update. Where? Yep. CodePilot knows what to do here. And we're going to say update. Yep, look at it. Go. That is it. And now we're just going to remove this. Just comment this out and give it a go. What are you saying here? Select. So I just want to double check what we're doing inside of project. So update by ID, we have to do where ID, yeah, and then data. That's what it is. That's why I was complaining. Cool. So we're going to create the part, and then straight afterwards we're going to do the project, and it's part of a transaction block. So both those have to pass for it to be successful. So let's see now. So if we add a new part, we go, who do we have? Custom made. Custom tray. It is part of the body. And hit save on that. Now we can see here. So update projects, set updated at. So what we should see now is our Amarok move up. Boom, that's what we want. Now if we jump back into here, refresh the page, the Amarok. So now if we add a new part, we're going to pump up the in the feed. So I think that's actually pretty good for now. So I'm going to remove this block here, so we're happy with that. So now when you update the details or you add a part, we're going to push you up. I mean, we could even do this with images quickly as well. So when we want to, so this is a create project image, is the same as when we do with create project part. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do, again, we're going to do, where are we here? I'm going to say return context.prisma.transaction. And that's going to open up a new array. And we're going to use this one. So first create the image. And then inside of here, we're going to do, there we go. It knows exactly what's going on. So we're going to say where ID is input.project ID, which we have. And then what we're going to say is data is updated at new. So it's not project, it's project. So we almost had it. And then this one's going to just comment that out. So what we want to see is when you add an image to this Amarok, we also want to, well, let's maybe not the Amarok, let's do this Hilux here. If we add a new picture, we want that to jump up to the top as well. Okay, so inside here, we want to go into the Hilux, which wasn't one of my builds, so we'll choose something else. The Defender. So inside of the Defender, I'm going to edit the build details. Just go back to it. Now we're going to add a part. Let's just, oh no, we're going to add an image. And we want to do pictures, locked and lifted. Yeah, let's add that one. It's not a, cool. So we've updated that. Now what we expect, Land Rover to be number 1. Let's see. Boom, done. Cool. So what we've just done there is when we either update the project, we're going to touch the updated at. When we add a part, we touch the updated at. And when we update an image, we also pump that up. So that what this is doing is rewarding people for keeping their builds up to date. If you keep your build up to date, you're going to be at the top of the list, means you're going to get more views. Job done. So if we just quickly jump into Git, we will see. I don't want you to update that. Thank you, champion. This is just the fix for that crash. Just removing unused code here. On the front page, we're now ordering by updated at instead of created at, so that it shows us the newest ones up there. This is inside of create update project. We're just changing the value of updated at in the database, the new date. There's some comments here that I need to get rid of. So inside of project images, just grab that, get rid of this. So it's always a good idea to review your commits. So cool, so we just put it into a transaction block, meaning this will run and this will run, and only if both of those pass will we have a successful call. So that's for project images, and project's parts the same thing. Transaction, create the part, update the project. Job done. So this is going to be the ticket, update front page. Push that up. And we should have the ability to create a new PR. That's great. Create a PR for us. I wonder if I can just edit this and just say references 57. Cool. Then we're just going to merge this in. Confirm merge. And away we go. delete the branch. We don't need it anymore. Cool. Let's jump into main. And that's that. So we've now ticked off 2 things from our list. We've upgraded the Prisma, and we've changed the front page so that the most recently updated are now at the top. On to part 3. Cool. So we've just updated the build, refreshed the page, sitting at the top. So we've achieved exactly what we wanted there. And we will see how our cold starts go in the future. But we are getting some good performance right now. So loving that. Cool. On to the next one.
Welcome back to the podcast with Daryl. Today we are working on the My 4x4 pages.